Right, we'll start getting on this video. Now, you've already seen a start on this because we've got a problem with display, and I showed some of this on the previous video. So we changed both the filters to get this to receive. The 455 one is always more fragile than the 10.7 or 10.695. I don't change many of those, but on this case it did make a difference. They can go lopsided, I think. Anyway, I've just had Mr. Chippie change this display board. The customer sent a scrap board for a Midland 77104, and it looks more or less the same, so Mr. Chippie's put that in. It's probably exactly the same. Yes, he's put the wires on. So before putting the bezel back on, we'll power it up and see whether it now lights up with all the digits. It seemed to me like there was an internal short on the display, as kind of they were all lighting, but two of them very, very dimly. Now, where's my power connector gone? Oh, there we are. Well, 20 lights up. Excellent. So hopefully this set will now work. He said the only difference he spotted was this bit of track here. It's supported by the print here. These are ever so fragile, and he scraped away so that it is supported, because on this model it isn't. On the 77104 it is, which is surprising. You'd think this would be the maximum type of protection from shock, with it being a porter pack. I don't no idea how this goes back together, even though I took the other one apart, but that was a few days ago. These have been a horrendous time on the bench and really held things up, but it's company policy never to take things off the bench once they're on. So that's it, that's the front back on, and there should be some little screws. So the filters in these sets are the CFU 455HTs, and they're the ones with 5 legs. When you start looking on eBay and such like, you find same number, but the ones only with 3 legs, which they would work, but they wouldn't help you bleed over, if that's a problem these days. And then the other filter, which also we had to change, was these. I know it's a 10.7, but I expect they're wide enough to not be too lopsided at 10.695. And I was able to find on a scrap chassis, it was a DNT, which I happen to have here, a DNT Economy 40. Remember, we buy sets like this. We very, very rarely scrap sets, unless they're unidents with knackered face like loop chips. So we buy sets like this, and by the time we buy them, what people think's the best parts have gone. They see the synthesizer's gone on this, the transmitter transistors have gone, the IF transistor's gone. We've got the smaller type of filter here, which I was talking to you about, and I've had the 10.7 off here, and then you've already lost the display. But you know, they usually come up for £2 to £5, those kind of chassis, and we buy them. So this is a trade customer, and he sent in. I had to wait for the postal strike and all that, so it just doesn't help. Well, that looks like one screw. Let's see if we can find 2 screws quickly, so we can just get back on with the set and finish this video. I think Mr. Chippie's chewing at the bit to go on the air test. And if we're really lucky, we might even find some of the knobs. Well, that's 3 screws. Didn't I do well? So what we need to do is to put the things back on. That's had the star washer, because you can see where it's bitten in before. That's had that washer. Looks like we've got 2 washers, right, okay. These are fun to fit, aren't they? I've no doubt they've got super long spanners at the factory, but all we can do is get it into position, turn it round and tighten it up with long nose pliers. Let's hope I put the right one on. And they do need to be secure. You're going to end up, especially with the channel selector switch, wrenching the print off the board. So we've got the concentric knob there. So I'll just turn that so that it's being put back in the right position. And then we're on 20. I'll have to position this. It's probably about there. And we'll worry about that when it's we've got the display back on. So we've got the power on. So now I've actually done the receiver on this, but you saw it on the previous one. You saw what the tune-up was. You've got this coil as the front end, you've got these as the IF, and you've got the detector discriminator down there. So this has already been done, but I have to do the S meter, and might even remember, seeing it was only a few days ago. I better put the bottom on this because it does affect the tuning. In fact, to that end, I think we will just check all of it. There we are, all 4 screws. Never over tighten these or you end up splitting the plastic. We'll just pop a screw in there so that it doesn't fall apart while I'm aligning it. Nothing worse than the lid coming off and shorting out. There we go. So with our test mic, power up. We're going to need to put the test instrument speakers in. So this should be quite quick to tune up. We'll unplug the test speakers. So maximum. Oh, he's picture in picture on now. That is now. Maximum. We're at 3.7 watts. Now we're at 4. So deviate. I'll do deviation now. I'm trying to keep the same meter on because the camera positions have changed because the desk behind me has changed and they're all propped up on various books. It was supposed to be building work in this room, and if that happens, we're going to be off for 6 weeks. Right. What am I doing? Oh yeah, we'll just tidy that back up. Deviation. Wallow a bit over the top. I'll get the oscillator. It makes it easier. Wallow. That's it. So it's 2.2 average, absolute peak of 2.5. It was peaking at 3.3, and there's another cause of bleed over for us all. Are we on frequency? Let's now go over to the frequency counter. I'm going to have to adjust the camera. I'll just switch to that camera. Oh, it's not stupidly out. That camera hasn't shifted. Slightly high. I mean that's fine. That isn't off frequency. That'll do. Like spot on. Transmit meter. So the way this works, oh, I need to do low power. We'll do this at the same time. I'll go back to the other meter. I'll have to just shift the camera position slightly to compensate for me moving the desk. Right, so the low power adjustment is here. So we need to switch to low power. We'll switch the test set to low power. 0.4 watts is there. It's virtually spot on. It's 350 milliwatts. So pop that up to 4 watts. Now what's supposed to happen is your bar graph light in low power is supposed to light 1, and in full power it's supposed to light 4. But you need to adjust it so it is only just lighting 4. So we'll just check. So there's a 3, 4. Now we'll go back to low power and it should be 1. Back to full power, 4. There we go. Set. So we just need to check the receive because I've put the lid on, haven't I? Yes, Mr. Tango, you've put the lid on. I don't think we got much better than 1 microvolt on the other set, despite all the work on the receiver. This one's come up much better. I'm just gonna check. I'm just gonna check this one. Take it over to the cyanide meter so you can see what I'm doing. So not saturating the receiver. Got a very low signal. It's 0.34 microvolts, I think. Now we'll just check these IF ones. I might need a bigger signal, but I don't on this set. This set works exceptionally well. The other one is at the exact opposite end of the acceptability spectrum. So we've got now, for 12 dB, we've got 0.75 microvolts. As I think it's about 1 or just over 1. But you heard the scratchy corner test on that and it works fine in reality. This is, the cyanide thing's all noise, isn't it? I mean, if I turn this down, the signal generator, that's 0.3 of a microvolt. The other one will hear at that, but it's just not giving as good as cyanide because there's noise being generated by whatever. Yeah, we can still hear that. Right, we'll do the signal now, signal meter. So we should have 3 lights writing, 3 lights lighting for. I'll go over to the attenuator controls. That's alright, the camera's alright. We should have 3 lighting for 100 microvolt signal, which is equivalent to S9. So it's that one there. There we go. So increasing the signal on the signal generator, we get all the lights. Turning it down, we get them going out. So the other thing we'll do is check the squelch, set that to full, and at S9 I want it to open. So that's 30 microvolts, that's 100 microvolts. Just need to twag that. On the other one we had to have a bit of a compromise. This sets up better. There we go. There we are, it's opening at S9. Now we'll look at the opposite end, so we'll turn the squelch down, switch the signal generators to standby, set the squelch threshold on the radio, switch the signal generator back on, see when it comes in. It's coming in at 0.48 of a microvolt, leaving it 0.32 microvolts, much the same as the other. That's it, we're done. So after all those days waiting for the scrap chassis to arrive, the set's done. Bear in mind on these sets you can switch the displays on and off to save battery pack with this porta pack, and sometimes you might end up buying one second hand. You think, oh my goodness, none of the displays work. And of course it's the check light switch, it's called. So we'll put the other lid on. Put a couple of screws in to hold it in place while we finish this video off. So this is a nice set, and the other one not so. It's like that Rotel 230 we've got. I picked that from amongst about 30 because the sensitivity on it is ridiculous. It's so sensitive. We've got a Rotel 240 which is something like 1 microvolt. It's not faulty, but in comparison to that Rotel 230 which is 0.23 microvolts or something like that, you know, this is just what can happen from one set to another. This is manufacturing tolerance. Right, that'll do for now. Still transmitting. I'll switch picture in picture off, and we'll go over to the aerial, and we'll go over to the extension speaker instead of the instrument speaker. You'll notice the feedback disappeared as soon as I got the deviation down to where it should be. So as ever, this is the same Antron 99 type without the optional ground plane kit. I've got a light on in another room. I'm going to have to pause the video and turn that light off. It causes interference. Right, here we go. If you can hear some racket in the background, apart from the background music system, I've got 2 ultrasonic cleaners on cleaning records. So, we're on channel 20. Let's go to 90. We'll talk about transvestite. That must be when somebody's got a vest that's tight.
I've watched it on fucking YouTube.
These people are on at least 45 watts. I've gone there to Nottingham and listened to see what they're talking about. So this is what, you know, they're getting this 35 miles range loud and clear over here because of their illegal operation, which is frustrating. So it makes 19 unusable in most areas, because when you come to big cities, this is what seems to go on. You just sit on 19 all day. You know, normally, I mean, when the correct procedure is, of course, is to say if 19 is the calling channel, you would say 19 for Fred Blogs or whatever, and Fred Bloggs says, yes, you got me, knock it up one or pick a channel, but you can't do that these days. I don't know, it's the last 10 years it's just turned from how it was to just channel hoggers. I went to York to go and drop a friend off elderly friend at a relative's, and I heard somebody on. I've got Midland. What we got in the car, 78 plus. It's got scan on it, so I put it says on scan, and it locked on on 19. Then there was a couple of chaps talking, and I heard them talking. The peak was Doncaster, and then as I drove down here, bearing in mind I'm in Lincolnshire near Grantham, I got to, where was it? Markham Moor Services, before I actually lost the second one of them. So, what are they running to do this 90 miles? And this is what's so frustrating. Anyway, we use it our way, which is by sitting on a particular channel, and that's exactly what we'll do with an on-the-air test, which will be shortest. That was absolutely great. So thanks for watching the Midland 77805 second one. It's a 1986 build, this one. And I'm pleased with the result on that, which is more than I can say for the other one, which isn't now faulty, but isn't brilliant. There we are. Thank you for watching.